Hello, everyone. This is Allie Wolf, Zonda's chief economist, here to go through the July Builder Update. Now, when I joined you guys in June, I said the theme was shifts. And in July, I would say our theme is relief. Relief that some of the slowdown in contract sales that we saw last month have not actually gotten worse. In fact, when we talked to the division presidents via the Zonda survey, we found that a lot of builders are actually pretty pleased with how July went overall. The majority of builders said that sales either exceeded their expectations or maybe they were a little bit slower, but nothing that made them particularly worried. It is important to note that 29% of builders said that they are seeing some buyers just pause their search for now just because of where prices have gone. When you look at the month-over-month change, you have 18% of builders that said their sales had increased. You have 45% that report no change, the balance obviously reporting a little bit of a drop. Traffic. You have 56% of builders that did report a drop in traffic, though this is not really a surprise. We have some builders that have sold out of their communities or they don't have their model open. In fact, we do have community count in Zonda's database down 25% year over year. So it's not easy for traffic to continue to tick up as overall active community count ticks down. Of course, though, like we mentioned, when you do have some buyers pausing just because of pricing, that will play into the overall traffic figure as well. When we look at sales and we look at the sales strategy, it's been very common to talk about how builders are intentionally slowing sales. That continues to be the case just as they allow their crews and their production to catch up. But I would say in a shift from what we saw over the past few months, we now have 15% of builders that are proceeding per normal. And that's a little bit different because we've seen it now go a little bit more towards builders trying to stop limiting their sales and trying to just sell their homes at a regular pace, assuming demand becomes just a slightly less feverish. We have 72% of builders that did raise their prices month over month. That's down from 91%, so you see a little bit of a shift, and this was the first month that we've seen not as many builders do any price increase at all. Of those builders that did do price increases, it's continued that shift to the left, meaning that we're seeing a smaller dollar amount in terms of when builders are raising prices month over month. I think this is partly a reaction to what we're seeing from consumers. Like we've said before, we say to builders, we know interest rates are low, but prices are high. And what's the impact? And again, we are now seeing pretty consistently that hesitancy from buyers continues to rise to the top. Now, good news, kind of mixed with bad news, is that 50% of builders are seeing relief on the lumber front. But there are a lot of consumers that are saying, okay, I read the headlines, I know that lumber's coming down, so that means my home's going to be cheaper, right? And we know that's not really the way that the market works, especially when there have been so many other costs that have risen for the builders. When you look at land prices or labor prices or regulatory fees, all of those costs have gone up. In a lot of cases, they've gone up almost enough to offset what we've seen in terms of the relief from lumber. Because again, even though lumber prices have come down, they're still above where they were on pre-pandemic levels. Final thing I will note, we always talk to builders and say, what keeps you up at night? What's the one or two things that you're watching the most closely? And a few months ago, it was building material costs followed by building material availability. We've seen this order reshuffle, and July was the first month that building material availability became number one. New home affordability, number two. And then you go building material costs, number three. You don't normally see that, or at least we haven't seen that over the past 6 to 12 months. Costs have been the biggest issue. I think some of the reason that we're seeing that fall a little bit down is because of what we just mentioned on the lumber front. But now it's hard to just source some of the items to build the homes, which is stretching out the time we're seeing from start to completion in some markets and at some communities across the country. That is it for now. Remember, Tim Sullivan and I will be doing our next webinar on August 11th. Please go to zondahome.com to register, and we'll see you there. Thank you.